Today it's okay to believe in angels, especially the kind that make our dreams come true. But beware of these angels. Believers running life's race understand the difference between God's angels and Satan's fallen angels, who seek to deceive us any way they can. Today, we continue a study of angels, and we'll move from what they do to what they know. Stay with us. From Chicago's Moody Church, this is Running to Win with Dr. Erwin Lutzer, whose clear teaching helps us make it across the finish line. In his Christmas series, A Flurry of Wings, Dr. Lutzer comes now with a message on what angels know.
As all of us know in our day and age, angels are big business. There are angel computer networks, there are angel channelers, there are angel prayer meetings. Big business indeed. We learned last week that this emphasis on angels is not new. The ancient Gnostics emphasized angels. They believed that angels would be the way in which we can get all the way to God. Nobody can have contact with God directly, they said, but through a chain of angels we can get there. And the Apostle Paul spoke against that heresy. What is unique about today is the breadth of the interest in angels and the depth of the deception. There's a movie that came out recently that I didn't see, but that I read about, entitled Angels in the Outfield. Apparently the story is an 11-year-old boy by the name of Roger whose mother dies, and then his father leaves. But before the father leaves, he says to this little boy, who's basically on his own now, "We will be together again as a family when the L.A. Angels win the World Series." Now, I don't know anything about the L.A. Angels, but from what I picked up from reading this article, it would be equivalent to telling a boy in Chicago, "Our family will be together again if the Cubs were to win the World Series." Now, you know that would be equivalent to saying to a kid, "Kid, buck up, learn to live alone, and don't even think about your family ever getting together again." But nevertheless, the boy prays to a God whom he doesn't know, and angels come, and apparently then the game is won, which may give some hope to our Cubby fans. But the reason that this movie is a beautiful illustration of where our nation is in terms of angels is that, first of all, the God who sends them is undefined. He is gender neutral. He is a God who does not have any ties to the gods of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He is a whoever you are out there, and whatever your name might be, and whatever connections you might have, please use them for me, kind of a God. And secondly, the angels turn out to be the experience that people like to have without having to confront God, the mediator, the experience of the supernatural without having to confront the issue of sin and repentance and righteousness. Beautiful example of where today's society is when it comes to angels, forgetting that there are angels of light out there who masquerade as angels of God, but are actually angels of deception, as we learned last week. What we'd like to do today is to discuss what angels know. Last week we talked about what they do. What do they know? Somebody wrote to me this week and said, "Do angels know our thoughts?" Very probably not. They may know some of our thoughts. They may not know all of our thoughts. But one thing is sure, they can listen to all of our words and they see all of our actions. They know quite a bit. In fact, let me begin by giving you 3 sources of information that angels have. Where is it that they get their information? Well, number 1, they know what they have been told by God. They know what God has told them. In a moment, we're going to be turning to Luke chapter 1, the story of Gabriel speaking to the Virgin Mary and bringing her that message. Well, the reason that Gabriel could do that is because he was in the presence of God, and God said, "Gabriel, this is what I want you to say." And whether it is to Mary or to Daniel, Gabriel gets his messages from God. Now, if you lived in the White House, you'd hear a whole lot more about what the president has to say than you would just at his press briefings. The Bible is a press briefing. It's as if God held a news conference and said, "This is what I want you to know, and this is all that you need to know." But if we lived with God like angels do, we get those background briefings. We get a lot of details filled in. When you read the book of Revelation, you're so impressed with the work of angels in both judgment and blessing that you realize that I'm sure that there are many times when they have information briefings when God tells them what's going to happen and what their role is. So first of all, they know what God tells them. Secondly, angels know what they observe, the things that they observe. Remember, they were there when creation took place. When God spoke the worlds into existence, angels were present, and they marveled at the wonder of God being able to take nothing and create something. And they were breathless if they breathe. They were breathless, thinking about the wonder and the power of God. And they were on hand to see Adam sin and plunge the human race into its misery and its despair. They saw all that. Then they saw Noah, they saw the flood, they saw the judgment of God, they saw the Tower of Babel, and then they see us. They observe us. The Apostle Paul says that we are a spectacle to men and to angels. For 10,000 years they have been watching us. And consequently, we have the privilege of knowing that we are always being watched, and that even if our eyes were open in this auditorium, we would see not only spirit beings, but among those spirit beings, both good and bad, there would of course be those good beings called angels. They know what they observe. Thirdly, angels know what they investigate. You see, God doesn't tell them everything. If God told angels everything, there'd be no mystery left. You know that if you were God, there would be no mystery, because God knows everything, and all the mysteries have been accounted for and answered and understood and explained. But angels are constantly looking into God's program. They are prying, trying to understand more. God says, here's this piece of the puzzle, here's another piece of the puzzle, and I created you as intelligent beings. Put this puzzle together and do the best you can. You say, oh, Pastor, where in the world are you getting that? Well, look at 1 Peter. Turn to there for a moment, and you may also turn to Luke 1, where we will be in just a moment. But in 1 Peter chapter 1, this is what the text says. It says that the prophets sometimes